Hello and welcome to Torg's Day night on the iconic production channel. Because if you have been following along on the Ulysses International channel, we have had cyber witches who have been attempting to crash the godnet. But thanks to the hard work of V and the papally sanctioned JD, our producer, we are back and live. And thank you to JD, like just immediately for all her amazing juggling and shifting. And I'm pretty sure she killed it with fire at some point. But yes, thank you to JD. So we're going to pick up right now with the Torg's Day night. Happy Torg's Day, everyone! It is good to see all of you. Thank you for jumping across the channel, which, I mean, we're in the Cyberpapacy, so that has two meanings. But we're going to start up tonight. When we last left off our Horsemen, they had recovered the blade of, or sorry, not the blade, the hilt of Masamune, and defeated the yokai of the sea, freeing the kami who had been consumed by it and being airlifted out, knowing that they had to go to the Cyberpapacy for kind of the next step of their journey as they are attempting to unravel the origins of the source, figure out what Volkov and Grigori want from this, as well as trying to figure out what these eternity shards are and what they do. Now, sadly, Tyrannic and Lapis, who will be missed, as well as Anton and Lady Salva, have had to take a step away, and so we are joining back up with the Horsemen as they arrive in the Cyberpapacy, and as they start to figure out where they have to go and what they have to do. Now, as I said before, we are dealing with a bit of we're dealing with a bit of cyber gremlins, as our producer has pointed out. So please forgive us any hiccups, stumbles, or missteps as we start off here. But as the group lands in Avignon, at some of the at the massive, there are actually three massive arcologies here in Avignon now. What was a small town has grown to this massive cyberpapacy fortress. An arcology is essentially a 50-story tall building that is almost pyramidal shaped. They're about a kilometer to a side and 50 stories tall. And this is where you guys are going to be entering. Now, Genevieve, you know that the Papal Spire and the it's not only Malraux's home, it's sort of the font of all of his power in the Cyberpapacy on core Earth. It acts as the mainframe, it acts as the backups, it acts as the Vatican, all rolled up into one. It is the political, spiritual, and technological epicenter of the Cyberpapacy. And indeed, Mr. Furious, you do hear Evangelist in the background as the group is being smuggled in to the Cyberpapacy. Now, V, you have been in and out of the Cyberpapacy. You actually built your character as a someone who smuggles people in and out of the Cyberpapacy when they get targeted by the forces of Malraux. So let me ask you this: as you're trying to get your team in, what is the way you would be smuggling them in to the Cyberpapacy as you're attempting to get to ground, get a safe house, which I realize is sort of a 9-letter word for the Horsemen. how would you get them into the cyberpapacy?
So bear with me, chat. I am figuring out all of these abilities as I go. I would probably utilize the network of contacts that I have, because I now have Profession Smuggler, as well as some well-timed hacks, intrusions, whatever you want to call it, into the Godnet to spoof our location, to lay false trails if anyone is actually. So it's a pretty intricate system of physical obfuscation, data obfuscation, a whole lot of obfuscation.
Obfuscation.
Yes, just general.
This one, yeah, this is one's for all of my Mind's Eye Theater fans. No, okay.
But yeah,
Your
drawing
Mind's Eye
on.
Theater.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
Kills in vampire circles.
Yeah, just drawing on the typical contacts, the typical points of communication, the chalk marks and actual data codes and stuff to work the network.
Now, where would you take them in Avignon? Like, what in your mind is the perfect safe spot for you, your team, and whoever the Delphi Council is sending? Because you all received a message that they have activated a new Storm Knight. They're sending them to sort of aid you in the finishing of this what they are calling the Eternity Shard issues. But you have, like, where would you be sending this person to meet up with them?
Some quick Googling. In the Cyberpapacy universe, is the Abbey of St. Andrew still standing in Avignon?
It is.
Probably there. Using that Abbey kind of as a front for the activities that we have going on there. So that would be our safe house. As Samwise once said, the closer to danger, the further from harm. So embed yourself in an Abbey.
All right, so it's the Abbey of Saint Andre.
Just a St. Andrew, yeah.
St. Andrew, excellent. All right, well, as you approach the Abbey, you can see that there are, it has sort of been, not abandoned, but its importance after the arrival of the Cyberpapacy has somewhat diminished. The pines that once used to be immaculately tended by the monks have sort of gone from their very sculpted nature to a little bit more wild. The pond in the front, which used to be just surrounded by wildflowers and filled with lily pads, has started to take on more of that greenish, almost greenish tinge and skunkish smell. And as you approach, you can see that it's one of the few places in Avignon, even at night, that is, I don't want to say shrouded in shadows, but let's call it not so much blessed by the light of the Godnet, because the three arcologies and the Papal Spire just shower this area with light, hard like holograms. Drones go flitting about. Security operatives, papal samurai, chromed out, wandered the streets. And the one thing be that as you guys get there, you all sort of notice is everyone is projecting this piety code that you don't have. V's got a spoofed one. But the rest of you just see, like, people do things and the score goes up. Sometimes the score goes down. It seems almost arbitrary to you, Edith, and Simeon, as you walk through here. But soon you arrive on the grounds of the Abbey of St. Andrew. What are you doing?
You know, am I still injured? The answer is probably yes. So, you know, still a little in shock here.
I can attempt first aid, and you're right, Jan. It's Saint Andre. I was looking at the English website. Silly Maddie. What would I need to do to attempt first aid? You would think I would know this by now.
You just have to give me a first aid roll, and actually then, if you guys are still wounded at this point, you've had a convalescence.
Okay.
Edith, you're
Okay.
You are fine.
So I'm keeping an eye out because V told me that it's a lot more crowded than it looks. Because you know there's multiple layers of what's going on here, and so I'm trying to see how are other people interacting with this space, because I just don't see it. All I can see is the everyday stuff.
Now, Lily, when I dealt out the Cosm cards, I believe you have one that has to be played immediately.
Yeah.
No.
Absolute fiend wrote a Cosm card called The Law of Stagnation, which says play immediately when drawn. Idea cards cannot be played for the rest of the act, and all science tests are disfavored. I'm very sorry, John, but the important thing to remember is JM gave me this card, and it's his fault.
Was my because I had the Cosm card of like paranoid something, and that sounded like that might have been a play immediately
paranoid
as well.
Is not a. You get to play in any populated area, John.
Okay.
Here, I'll see if I can find it for you, John. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't know you had a set of cards over there.
As you approach this is a place that you grew up, that you've used as a safe house. Father Louis is an old man in his 80s, but is not showing signs of physically failing or mentally failing. He's old, but he's just kind of as spry as he used to be. And you guys can see as you approach that there's a gentleman standing next to him talking with Father Louis. A gentleman who is dressed much like our newest horseman is in the frame. Everyone, welcome to Ben, who also is known as Restar on Discord or in the chat. Ben, welcome to the Horseman game.
It's very, very nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So, Mick, you've been standing here talking with Father Louis, waiting to meet up with the Horsemen. You were activated at the during one of the epilogues of last week's game, and were sent here because this is the coordinates that V brought you into. And as you've been talking with Father Louis, you can see the old man's eyes, which are sort of a very pale blue, almost to the point of being a gray. They suddenly look past you, and you can see under this magnificent steel gray beard, you can see this smile starts to break up, and puts his hand on your shoulder, and he's like, I believe the people we are waiting for are approaching. And he kind of waves a hand. You can see crossing the bridge that kind of arcs over this very stagnant water is, well, Mick, you know them from the files. You can see V and Edith and Simeon.
What has he done to his legs?
Like
That
them?
was not in your file, Mick.
Something's different.
I do not know, my friend. I would say that those look more like monkey legs. But you know how the youth are here in the papacy. Many of them are chopping off what the good Lord gave them and replacing it with chrome and steel. I can only assume wherever he is from, do the
I'll
same.
put my hand on Father Louis' shoulder and say, I understand, Father. Deep inside, I'm just a 10-year-old girl.
And he kind of, they warned us about Nephilim creating hybrids. I wonder if that is who. Hello, V. And he kind of crosses the intervening distance and kind of gives you a large hug and the traditional kisses on each cheek.
Bisous. Bonjour, père. Comment ça va? I asked how he was doing.
Yeah, bien E2. Listen, if you had asked me how to say hello in like Ugaritic or Sumerian or ancient Hebrew, I mean, heck, even in Sylvan, I would probably have been able to, or Sindar, I would probably have been able to answer. But French, it's not one of them. He responds in kind and tells you, "It is good to see you. Things have gotten much worse since you left, but I have kept the place as you have asked me to. Although several of the children always wonder what is behind the door, I have told them that it is a demon. That she is bound beneath the floors of the abbey. It keeps them out of trouble and makes them listen to me when I need them to. It is all in good fun. This is the gentleman. He arrived earlier today. He talks about you a lot. I have known you most of your adult life, and I believe he knows more about your recent exploits than even I. And who are your friends? You are a magnificently tall woman. I am Father Louis. I run the Abbey of Saint Andre and the orphanage that is unofficially attached here. Enchanté.
This is Edith. He said nice to meet you, Edith. He's just complimenting you. And this is Simeon. They've been with me for a while now.
Bonjour. You realize your legs are those of a monkey, yes?
Lifts up to one of those legs with a little thumb up.
Genevieve, I do not like him. Or at least the bottom half of him.
Father, we've had
please.
this conversation a few times. That, sometimes enhancements are not necessarily a bad thing. She brushes the hair back from her eye.
I have coffee, I have wine, but I will leave you. I have food. Please, this gentleman has been waiting to speak with you. He said he is from the council. I assume that is where you have been, but I must go see to the children. Come in whenever you are ready. You know the place. The dining room has been set up for you, and the cellar will be available whenever you are needed.
Father, can you break out some of the Abbey cheese for our guests? I mean, mostly for me because I've missed it, but
No, of course. Listen, Jean-Pierre, I do not know where you have been the last couple of years, but this is still Havanel.
Cheeseless
We are
places.
not Philistine.
I mean, you'd be amazed
Yes.
how many people don't have cheese.
It's
rough.
the Lord does not ask more of us than we are able to bear. And he walks inside.
Thank you, Father. Look to the children. Drink from the fountains. Man, that was great. Listen, everyone. My name is Agent Ronald McCartney Lane. You may call me Mick. You may call me Mick Lane. You may call me Agent McLean. Waited for a long time to meet all of you, really. I come from Homer Division. It's a division of the Delphi Council where we storytell. You achieve glory, and then I tell everyone the story, and it frees up the Ords to go back to core Earth, which is what I'm fighting for, even though you're all from freaky alternate reality. So I'm really super excited to be here. It's kind of like getting called up to the big leagues, honestly. Again, a reference you don't get because you all come from crazy freak realities. But the point is, wrap up what we need to do here at the Abbey. V, if you've got something hidden behind a door, let's grab that, because I want you to know that I requisitioned a base of operations here in the Cyberpapacy just for us, and I got a good success. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
As he says big leagues, V turns to Edith and is like, is that a fat joke? What is he talking about, big leagues?
I only understood about half of what he said anyway, so, you know.
I don't. Right. Ooh. I mean, so you want to?
Have you guys ever flown in a flying car? You guys want to get in a flying car and
A Zeppelin?
head on over to my cool base of operations? If so, I gotta spend a glory. Hold on.
So wait. So we're moving our base of operations from my base of operations?
Well, I think what he's suggesting is that if you do not want your base of operations to be compromised by this mission, he has
Fair,
requisitioned something larger. That way
Yeah.
your bolt hole remains a bolt hole.
Look, I really have watched you guys through the Homer division. I even have gone into places after you guys were there and told them your story to try to free them up. It's not that successful. It's why they put me on the team directly. Now, I know that you care about people and destruction of public property and loss of stuff. So maybe let's don't endanger Father Willie and the children he's clearly caring for that he's too old to do, and let's take it to somewhere where old man McGee and Artful Dodger and the kids don't bite him.
None of that was our fault.
For those of us at home who may not know what the Homer division of the Delphi Council is, Ben, can you just give us a brief overview of the Homer division and what their goals are? Now, V and Simeon and Edith, you would have heard of this in character, so you would know. But let's give a little bit of an overview of that division.
So the real way, one of the real ways to save the world in Torg is to achieve glory, which is a roll of 60 or greater, generally doing something important, not like looking for a thing you lost, like actually in a fight. And then someone in the Homer division, or the Homer division is designed to have storytellers who then tell the public of that glory. It inspires ordinary people to be able to break away from the cosm that they're in without dying. For example, if we were to go round up a bunch of people here in the Cyberpapacy and smuggle them back into regular Earth, because they don't have possibilities like we do, they would either immediately die or slowly like wither away. And so the only way that we can save people and keep them alive is through, one, achieving glory, two, the retelling of that glory. And so the Homer division is not named after the patriarch of The Simpsons. It is named after the epic poet.
So every time Maddie has rolled a glory, because let's be honest, if the first one was Sadie, and then after that it's basically been anytime Maddie has like shown up to a horrific scene and then it's like, this is actually going to be an awesome adventure as opposed to the scary one that JM had planned, which, by the way, is coming at the end of the month. Another scary adventure that will only last for about 6 seconds with the B team. Stay tuned. The Delphi Council sends in members of Homer Division to make sure that that spark that the glory ignited continues to grow in the populace. So they are I don't want to say bards, but they are bards, they are PR specialists, they are storytellers. They're the ones who realize that the true fight of the Possibility Wars isn't a shooting fest with the High Lords, although other divisions would disagree. It is this igniting of hope and putting possibility back into core Earth to cause the Ords to realize there's a fight going on.
So they're
So-
they're like the influencers
Mhm.
of the Delphi Council.
Yeah, I died a little inside. Thank you for that. But yes, they are like they are possibility influencers.
Are there any jongleurs?
There are probably jongleurs, and I would say mimes, but let's be honest, not even the Homer division would use mime. I apologize to all of our mime friends who are watching, but I know that you won't actually say anything. So, Mick, this new member of sent in by the Delphi Council, has offered respite at this Delphi Council requisition base of operations. So remember, you guys are beta clearance, so you guys have the ability to requisition gear from the Delphi Council. So,
And I have it at my base of operation.
that's you have and you did. So V, this is your stopping grounds. Whereas in Orosh, we were really leaning into Edith as kind of our guide, and in Pan Pacifica, it was a little bit kind of Lapis's kind of dealing with the fallout and the redemption of Lapis. Just to let you know, this is your cosm. This is where you're going. And Mick, I will let you know that the analyst, who is another member of the Delphi Council, who is really just sort of a Colin. He's really kind of he's a pencil pusher and a bureaucrat. He is waiting back at your base of operations because he has aggregated all of this data of the Horsemen missions and this other group called the Bay Tang. The B team, possibly. No one really knows much about them, but they have recently had, basically, he is waiting to brief both you and the Horsemen on kind of what they've discovered about these Eternity Shards that the Horsemen have been recovering. I'll take it, Mr. Furious.
Oh, don't give him more. He doesn't need them.
Look at the next one on the stack is
Melro. Look at that.
this Melro.
What a jerk. V would probably ask just to spend a little bit of time here. At least eat some cheese. Let the woman just have some good wine. I need some real stanky gooey cheese. It's gonna be better for everybody involved if she can. And then she will probably sneak into the demon room, which is, I'm assuming, is just her bedroom / office, or is there something else?
There is something else.
No.
So the Abbey of San Andre was built over old Cathar caves in Avignon. And so the Cathars were a group of heretical schismatics who were mostly centered in Spain and France. And they would build these refuges to hide out from the Inquisition. And very few people knew that they had spread as far as Avignon. And so the Abbey was built on top of these old Cathar caves, and you have retrofitted these caves. So it's a bedroom, it's your base of operations, and it's actually where you keep people as you are waiting to provide escape out of the Cyberpapacy, or when you were a smuggler, when you were bringing people into the Cyberpapacy, which you have done on several occasions. Most of those identities were, they were obfuscated from you, like they were agents that the Delphi Council wanted to smuggle into the Cyberpapacy. We've talked a little bit about that kind of in the very first early episodes of the Horsemen game. That V is one of these people who brought people in and out without the church knowing where or how these people were leaving the Cyberpapacy or being smuggled in. So this is kind of where you were at. So there's several small caverns that are equipped with small reclamators, small kitchens, light displays, little cots, places where people could be sort of comfortable as they were waiting to either be smuggled into the arcologies or out of the colonies.
Yeah, so she'll probably stop in, check in with her contacts, probably spread the word that in some ways they have a little bit of an upper hand on the Frenchmen, in some way they're in debts, so maybe give him a wide berth for a little while, see if there's any new movement in the, I guess, underground system, any persons of interest. I will also ask, throwing all the way back to the beginning, about if there's been any leads on the student that I set out to find. I feel like I learned her name at one point, but I do not remember. Oh, Sarah, there it is. Notes.
Yeah. So, go ahead and give me a computer's roll, and then I'm going to cycle through everyone else real quick, and we'll come back to you. Simeon, what are you doing as you enter into this, as the rest of you enter into the Abbey, and I'll get to Nick here at the end. So as we'll say, Simeon and Edith definitely follow in. You can see that Father Louis is running an orphanage, and there are probably 24 kids between the ages of about 3 and 15. Some of them are sweeping, the little ones, the older ones are reading to the little ones, they're sort of winding down. What you do notice is there's no hard light displays inside the Abbey. So there's none of the hard, like the holographic displays. No one in here has any sort of piety monitor. This definitely feels like it's off the grid. But you can see kids are whispering. They're like pointing at Edith's, just at Edith. Into your jacket, definitely the Edith. They're pointing at Simeon's legs. You've definitely got a leg up on most of the people in here in this Abbey, Simeon. So, what are you two doing as you enter the Abbey?
Well, I heard the mention of wine. I think I would take interest in that.
It's a mighty fine wine.
But then, I guess also when Nick mentioned the dirigible like thing, I kind of piqued my interest too. So.
So are you watching the skies to see if you see any flying cars? Okay. Edith, what are you doing?
Observing the surroundings. So you said it's not very tech heavy in here, so I assume I feel more comfortable than I did on the way here.
It actually, this definitely feels like something that could possibly have come right out of, it would probably have been more of a ruin in Orosh, but it was built in like the 1200s, 1300s, so 1300s.
So we can see the similar history. So you said there's orphans here, and I know that V has smuggled people through here, so do I observe anything in particular about this building?
Give me a find roll. What exactly are you looking for?
I'm just trying to get a feel for the type of people who come through here.
Okay.
The total of 10 on a find.
10 on a find. As you look around, you can actually see that there are actually tapestries and murals referring to something called the nope, I'm going to stumble over it. Albigensian Crusade, which is, you can see there are the slaughter of Cathars. There are people in like armor, like knights. mean, things that you would have seen kind of in the ruins on Orosh or in like illuminated manuscripts by the priests of Orosh. Shelley probably has pictures like that in her Bible that she carries around. But essentially, it looks like at one point this was actually a fortress that has been converted into an abbey. And what you can tell is most of these people, like the kids, every once in a while you see a bit of chrome on them, not nearly as much as B, but it looks like most of these kids, you don't see any other adults. So, I mean, Edith, you're from Orosh. You are well familiar with, you know, what the poor and the destitute and the unwanted look like. It looks like this guy, whoever he is, just takes in those kinds of people. Now, the question that may come to mind with your role is, did V ally with this person? Did she come to ally with Father Louis, or was she raised in this place?
Yeah, the question that I have is what happens to these kids?
You don't see any, like I said, you don't see anyone really over the age of like, maybe, I mean, how good is Edith at judging children's ages? Yeah, if it doesn't have fangs or fur, I would assume that you're
not good at identifying. They appear to be mostly human.
They do appear to be like 99% human, but you don't see anyone really kind of over the age of like the young teens. Maybe there's one girl in here who's about 15. That's about it. Like, there's no, like, it goes from 15 to like mid 80s. that is the gap. Like 65 years young.
Okay.
Now, when you said that these kids were kind of reacting to us, is this kind of a positive reaction or like a curiosity kind of?
It is definitely a curiosity thing. They are looking at you like, well, I mean, Simeon, you have a big head and you have 8 legs. Like even in a cosm filled with chrome and hard light, you stand out like the big toe that was on a gorilla that was smashed by a hammer. Like we'll call it the sore toe. That none of them are approaching you. They all seem to kind of look at Father Louis as if asking permission, but he seems to be he's cutting cheese, spreading cheese on this platter, and he's pouring wine. And they look at you because you are something they have never seen. It is the nature of children to seek innocent curiosity. None of the children here will make fun of you for your deformities, but
I'll get down on. Oh, sorry. I'll get down on like one knee and I'll kind of welcome, welcome anyone to approach if they wish. And
there's a little girl who kind of walks up to you, kind of roomy-eyed, blurry-eyed a bit. You can see that she's probably about 4 or 5 years old. Are you a monkey?
Partly. Well, ape. Or a gorilla.
Do you want a banana?
I love bananas.
I used to have a monkey, or my dad did. He would turn a little box. Do you turn a little box?
I do not.
I'll still get you a banana.
But
and she goes and walks off. Nick, what are you doing while you're here? You get a message from the analyst, ETA.
So it's night, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would text him back, hopefully before it gets too dangerous. Trying to show these people a good time. They don't know what's up yet. And you said I've been at the orphanage for just a little bit.
Yeah, probably about like 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. You arrived early because, I mean, this is the Horsemen. Come on.
So I don't see. So there's not a little boy who would answer to the name of Gideon there.
That's a 20. There is a little boy named Gideon there.
Okay. Okay. 2 hours ago, when I was with Father and all the children were around, I randomly shouted the name Gideon several times to see if anyone would respond, and someone did.
Yes.
Is it my lost son?
I mean, it was a natural 20. Well, that's a 10, so we're at 30. If I cross the 40 threshold, 39. So, no, it is not your lost son.
But it looks, oh man,
I mean, it looked like your mind started to crack, and then you're like, no.
Okay, well then, I definitely can't go back into the orphanage without crying.
Okay.
And and so I don't. So I will stay outside and protect my Peugeot 115 car. And if anyone tries to get near it, I will, in a very compelling voice, say, "Back off."
All right. So V, what did you get?
I got a 17, but if I need to, I will spend whatever if I need to go higher.
20 would be an outstanding success if you would like to get to there.
Beautiful. I will play willpower.
All right. So you get a couple of things, right? Your contacts in the Cyberpapacy are really more digital aliases and spoof bots and spy programs that you have kind of gathering information from the .net, skimming it, organizing it, and pulling it together. So the first thing you do with a 20, now that you're back in your home system, well, first of all, with an outstanding success, I'm just going to give you this piece of information. That hard light shield drone that protected you in Pan Pacifica was requisitioned by one got your character name all memorized, Ron Lane. Although he was technically not a field agent at that point. He was more of a member of the Delphi Council, but his status is a little bit more nebulous at that point. He was able to requisition that for you to kind of protect you. Your contacts, so what were the questions you were asking about Sarah?
Yes.
What else were you?
I was asking about Sarah because that's who I was hired to find, and then I was also reaching out to the physical connections that I have. I'm kind of envisioning, based on the orphanage, like a Sherlock Holmes using like the street urchin network. Just to put feelers out and say, hey, we have a little bit of info on you know who, but we also might be in their debt, so maybe give them a wide berth in whatever you're doing.
Okay, so you can send that message out.
Perfect.
Through the networks. If you wanted more information, that would definitely be a streetwise role for the physical assets. But with the computer, with your computer role, you know a couple of things. First of all, well, here is what you glean from your skimming. First of all, Sarah has been taken into custody. There is evidence that she was working with the Forsworn and was captured about 2 weeks ago during a raid. Now, just so you know, a raid by Cyber Knights, and Cyber Knights are essentially the SWAT of the church. They're like the Swiss Guard. feel like I really want to make some Swiss guard jokes, but I won't. But Tech 26 Swiss guards, who also are unacquainted with the word restraint. The Forsaken are also known as they're warlocks. They're the ones who, right? If the cyber witches and warlocks are fighting the cyberpapacy using unsanctioned magic and tech, the Forsaken are those who are like, well, fine, let's fight fire with, brimstone. And they're using black magic, they're summoning data demons, they're summoning real demons, they're making deals with Tharcold. They are not good. And if Sarah was somehow linked to this, which you remember her dad was like, she's an art student, this was months ago, but I need her to get her out. If she was linked with the Forsaken, the Cyber Knights are not known to, how do I want to put this? She will be interrogated ruthlessly, efficiently, and then put in the dead book. So if you want to rescue Sarah, you are on a timer. The other breaking news, if you will, like everyone is talking about, is that it looks as if something has exploded in Istanbul. It looks as if Dr. Mobius and the forces of Tharcold, both in within a week of each other, revealed new stela there and have captured large swaths of Istanbul. And it looks as if Tharcold and the Nile Empire are going to be clashing over this city. And all of the Cyberpapacy's data nets and data news services in the Godnet are talking about this. They're also talking about how the channel, like battles in the channel, are heating up as, how those pesky elves on dragons and, steamboat or steam tech dwarven ships and undead Viking longships are always being sighted in the channel, and they're being put down by the conflicts between the Cyberpapacy and Isle are starting to ramp up. And is there anything else you want to know with a 20? That is why Facebook went down. It's a shame. They said at Restar, you're in the chat and you're here.
I mean, I'll open it up to the other players. Is there anything else that you guys want to know while I'm poking around in the Cyberpapacy?
Yeah, but I don't think I can tell you what that is just yet.
I'm following V's lead. This is her turf, and I'll do whatever she needs us to do.
Did you have anything you want me to look up?
No, I can't think of anything, and I'm a little distracted,
With
with all the
Jam, is there any mention of any derivation of the words eternity shard sparking
Oh yeah,
on the
they're
continent?
all over the place on the continent.
Well, any credible leads, I guess I should say.
Are there any credible leads? Well, you do know that there are several that are being uncovered in Brazil. The site Melro recently made a expansion into Brazil and annexed portions of Brazil into the Cyberpapacy. He is always, there are always rumors of the Forsaken who are looking for the Dictionnaire Infernal. There are people who are looking for, there are always rumors of Napoleon's bicorn being on sale at this auction and that auction. But no matter what happens, they always come up a little short. And
finish what you were going to say. I had one other question.
No, that's basically it. Now, the other thing is, with a 20, you do know that there has been rumors that Melrose has recovered something called the Grimoire de la Source. So the book of the source. And that pings on a lot of your data nets because, right, the source is one of those keywords that you've been searching for whenever you've had access to high enough technology to do data searches, because that's the thing that Grigory and Volkov seem to be seeking to open up. So the fact that Melrose has apparently recovered something that pings on both the Eternity Shard and the source searches it is disturbing to, right, anytime any of the High Lords get their hands on something is, generally not a good thing, even if they're just going to feed it to the Darkness device.
Got it. And then one last question. In the weird subchats of chat rooms, I know, any mention of a dude with extra faces all over his body, just wreaking havoc all over the place?
You got a 20?
Huh?
That is an outstanding success. So yes,
Blech. I don't like this.
you know that the penitentiary d'Avignon is where the Cyber Knights are holding Sarah. And they're holding a stormer who bears a disturbing resemblance to what you just described.
Because we never resolved that, right, Lily? Okay.
Nope.
Cool.
No, we left him in prison, and he had stolen the face of somebody from the Delphi Council, so...
So, drinking wine, eating cheese.
Yeah, I don't want to stay too long. I don't want to put this place at risk, but it makes some really good cheese, so I'm not going to pass it up.
And good
So
wine, so it happens.
Eat and drink your fill. This young good girl, Clark, brings you an entire bunch of bananas. Most of them are brown, but there are several ones that still have some good, good spots to them. They're not all fit for banana bread. So.
Oh, I don't want to take your whole supply. I'll take one of the good ones and I'll peel it from the correct end, and I'll break it in half and give half to her.
All right. Well, you guys eat and drink your fill, and very soon you feel like it's nearing midnight. The children have kind of gone to bed. Father Louis lets you know you need anything, V. You know how to get hold of me. I will provide what sanctuary I can. You definitely hear one of the kids from the room scream, "Sanctuary!"
I'll yell it back. Sanctuary!
Edith, that's another one of those signs that it's like, it feels like an in-joke among the kids here, and V totally jumped in on it. So, but soon, it's time to see what Mick has prepared for you.
To the dirigible.
Mick, as they leave, I assume you're going to let them know that there's not actually a dirigible waiting for you.
No, it's a sedan, and it's a Peugeot. It's a quality French-built car, and it's hovering you got to be able to get into it. It's hovering like 2 feet off the ground.
What manner of aerostat is this?
Tires. Oh, it's the the Cyberpapacy's finest. Nothing but the best for you guys. I want to show you around, make sure you guys feel good. There was some talk about you not feeling safe at these safe houses. I want to let you know.
Security measures do you have in place? Have you inspected this vehicle for explosives?
Yes, eat it. Yes.
I gotta tell you, I have. I've checked out this vehicle, but I'm gonna go ahead and roll streetwise.
We don't trust anything with the word safe attached to it.
Never again.
Never, ever, ever again.
Okay, so we might have to play a card on that. It's a streetwise of 12.
That's not bad.
Uh-oh, we
Oh,
lost.
you're muted.
Oh.
We lost you.
A streetwise of 12 would give you a normal success. And you've been watching this thing like a hawk. You don't think that there are any explosives.
I'm also incredibly cavalier. Get in! You guys, I'll let you pick the radio station.
Pinging off of Edith's paranoia, do I know, can these cars be... We're not paranoid at all, it's fine. Be remotely...
Only paranoid. I haven't been blown up more than once.
Can someone remote in and take control of this car?
It was requisitioned, so they would have to at least roll dice against my ability.
Yeah, here's the thing, V. You're in the Cyberpapacy.
Uh-huh.
Anything can be hacked.
Uh-huh.
But it is a matter of three things: awareness, sympathy, right? They have to know the device exists. They have to have some sympathetic connection in the fact that they would have to know that Mick has been attached to you, right? And it's a matter of strength. They would have to overcome at the very least, the basic safety systems. But if he requisitioned this from the Delphi Council, requisitions from the Delphi Council always arrive clean, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'm going to, as we ride in the car, just pay attention because aforementioned dude stole a dude's face from the Delphi Council and told us a lot of really great things. And then he wasn't. So, pretty much. So, I'm just going to be on high. I mean, I'm always on extra high alert in the papacy, but be on high alert when I get in the car.
All right. So, Mick, as the car takes off, Simeon, this is no aeroplane. This is no dirigible. This isn't even a jetpack. This is like nothing you have ever seen. It is silent as it rises up off the street, and you guys head above. Now, when in Pan Pacifica, everything was shadow and neon and chrome. Not in the Cyberpapacy. In the Cyberpapacy, everything is light. It is brightly lit. There are data angels flying around. There are hard light drones. There are hard light holograms 200 feet tall, preaching the sermons of Melrose. There are smaller hard light statues that are, calling out violations of the piety code. There are other cars like this flying about. So like take what you know of Pan Pacifica, scrape off that layer of filth and grime and noir and burnish it to a bright sheen. And that is the Cyberpapacy, at least on the surface.
And if you see it for the first time because we're looking through the windows of the car, if you roll down the window of the car, it's like, oh yeah, that's that crappy old building. But when you roll up the window of the car, oh, it's glorious and beautiful, and everything's laid on top of everything else. Mm-hmm. So we can finally see. And as I drive around, I'm like, oh, you see that thing? On your left is the St. McDonald's. It's an all right burger. They got a Royale with cheese.
Here they call it a Royale with cheese.
But you guys have the metric system too, so all right, whatever.
So yeah, John, imagine it basically, the Cyberpapacy is one big augmented reality society. So where is this, what is the base of operations that you have requisitioned, Meg?
It's a former embassy.
Okay.
It was a small country like Latveria, but it was already a fortified compound area, and the Delphi Council was able to take advantage of the already nice fortifications and get a solid landline out of France, so that we are not necessarily beholden to the godnet.
As you guys approach, you can see there are several large holographic images of Melrose in the courtyard of this embassy. But when you roll the windows down, it's actually a statue of this guy, and he seems to be in like archaic armor, and he has this metal faceplate over him, and he is like has this very commanding presence. But as the car lands, you can see that there are several Delphi Council agents who are patrolling the grounds. They sort of kind of come to the car, recognize the car. V and Mick, you both know that the car has been pinged for authorization codes. Mick sends like Delphi Council codes back, and it is this doesn't seem like a subtle safe house, if you will. No one's actually like flying the Delphi Council colors, if you will, but this is, as Mick said, this is an armored compound that has been kind of acquired by the Delphi Council. And as you land, you can see there is a woman in a white suit that almost seems to glow through the windows, and she's standing there with a black wood cane that has a large gem at the top, and she's standing there waiting. And Mick, you know that it's the analyst, or at least that's the code name that she goes by here. As the doors open, you hear her call out, "Excellent, Horsemen. I'm glad to see that provisional field agent Lane has brought you here in due time. We have much to discuss. We have figured out more of what... Come with me." And she turns around and walks back in. That's right, it was a slight, Mick. It was totally a slight. Possibly true, but totally
you don't have to say, like, you don't have to say interim, but, whatever. It's fine. It's cool.
Probationary.
I tell these guys, like, she doesn't mean to be, like, rude. It's just her, it's her thing. She's got a lot on her mind, so, like, it's cool. We'll do this, and then I'll show you, like, to our rooms and stuff. Cool.
Did you have something?
No, I'm fiddling with the windows, trying to figure out if it has the same effect looking in, and I'm a little oblivious as to this.
I just kind of smirk as Mick gets taken down a peg because he was a little bit rude at the Abbey, so I just smirk a little bit. Jim, can I, as we're going and as we gather more requisition equipment, one, get everybody updated comms from the Zuzus, and also work on getting folks spoofed piety scores?
Yeah, that would be a great requisition roll here. And we'll do that at the start of next session.
Great.
Okay. As you walk in, you can see that the main area of the embassy has been cleared out, and the analyst is continuing to watch. She walks through several doors, just assuming you're following her. You can see guards on the balcony with some machine guns. Some of them have, the chrome eyes that you've come to expect of the Cyberpapacy people. But she leads you through a little bit of corridor, and Nick, you know where she's leading. And as you enter a small room, she flips the lights on, and there is a small balcony that overlooks, and you can see there are Delphi council technicians. And as you look down, you can see the jade hilt. You can see the amulet that had Rasputin's pictures in it. You can see there's this weird blade that has no hilt or crosspiece or anything like that. You can see there's this large chunk of meteoric stone that looks like it's kind of been carved into to have a rough, flat surface on the top. And there's also a necklace that looks to be like in the shape of a falcon. She says, "We have much to discuss. I've been following you and your predecessors since the first moment this map has been revealed, and you can see there's some who are looking at a hard light diagram or projection of what looks to be a tablet covered in hieroglyphics, Simeon. I believe we have most of what has been recovered, both by the eternity shards that were recovered by the group in the Nile Empire and Nile, as well as by yourself. I believe we have uncovered more information on how they all, she gives you all a little grin, fit together. If you will take a seat, I will tell you what I know. We can outline our next steps." As the scene kind of fades to black, you guys can hear this kind of crackling, or the audience can hear this crackling static. "Did you get the message?" "I did. She's back in the Cyberpapacy." "What do we do?" "He said that we shouldn't interfere, that all debts will be settled. But keep an eye on her for now. The Genevieve owes the Frenchman. The Frenchman always collects his debts." That is where we will finish for tonight. We will pick back up next week. Welcome to the newest arc of the Torg Eternity Horsemen campaign. I would like to thank Ben for joining us on this. I would like to just say sometimes you are the hard light statue, and sometimes you are the cyber pigeon. And tonight it definitely felt like we were the hard light statue. I appreciate all of you in chat for being patient with us as we jumped over to the different channel and then got everything reset up. As always, thank you to JD. JD is the iceberg of Iconic in the Ulisses channel, which means if the 10% you see is running well, it's because the 90% she's doing in the background is running smoothly. So as always, just thank you to JD. Now I will say we do have a ton of others. We are in the Cyberpapacy will be the penultimate act of the Horsemen campaign. We do have a break at the end of the month where I will be running the traditional B-Team Halloween one-shot. And I have been in touch with Bureau G for some Christmas special for the littlest or possibly the stupidest drone, which will be a 2 to 3 act. Do you have your Bureau G costume? Yeah, oh my gosh. Maybe we should just call Restar the Master of Disguise. It's good stuff. We will be back in a week with more Cyberpapacy. To everyone in the chat who followed over, thank you so much. Mr. Furious, it's always great to see you. Evan, it's good to see you. Again, I apologize for the confusion tonight. I promise this will be uploaded on the Ulisses YouTube channel, and we will be back to the Ulisses channel next week. There is no Fading Suns this week. If you did not catch the Sending the Mountain of Purgatory, which was our interlude episode, go check it out. I feel like it was one of the best episodes that we have done. If you like Ulisses, don't follow them here, go follow them on the Ulisses channel. But if you like what we do, please consider following us on the Iconic Production channel. We do a bunch of great podcasts. We do, Becca runs a great Call of Cthulhu game. She was Lapis in the Horseman arc and is now running Call of Cthulhu on her channel. So, as always, Thank you to Ulysses for letting us do this. Thank you to all of the Horsemen. Thank you to Ben for joining. Thank you to the B team and Bureau G. There will be more of your games coming up. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I am James, GM. These are the Horsemen of Torg Day Night, and we will see you in a week. Have a good one.